this is Tina. Welcome back to my channel. So we are just here for another one of our mass making workshops, and today what I thought we could do is make some I don't really know what they would be termed, but they're like skinny flip outy book things. Hopefully it will become clear when we make the first one, but they are quite skinny and small. So just to kind of show you, this tiny piece of paper, I will be able to make one from this. So your scraps really don't need to be very big. They need to be sort of long and thin. So if you want to, you know, join in the mass making, that's absolutely awesome. And yeah, just bring along a bunch of scraps. Again, as I say, long and thin is best. You know, you're not going to be able to make them out of like squares or anything. Well, you could if they were big squares, but not from tiny squares. Excuse my hands, please. I have obviously just finished some other videos where I have now got covered in ink, so I do apologise for that. So I'm just going to move all this stuff out of the way, and of course you're going to need your glue, your scissors. I think that's it. All you're going to need for the basic items is your glue, your scissors, and your, you know, your card, whatever you're going to make it from. And then obviously if you're going to be decorating, you're going to need some nice pretty things to decorate your pieces with, you know, as well. So I'm going to demonstrate one or two, and these are super simple. So, I mean, seriously, you just, yeah, you're going to be like, oh, brain dead because it's so boring. Oh, one other thing that you are going to need is you're going to need little bits and pieces to be able to act as your stoppers or your closures. So you could use little kind of stamped images. I've got some of my dictionary definitions. I mean, I've got here just a torn piece, but you know, they need to be stiffer than paper. So they don't need to be really thick, but just stiffer than paper. So these are like 160 GSM cardy paper. And they're going to be what's going to hold my pieces closed, and that will become apparent, you know, as we get making. So if I just take first of all this skinny strip that I have here, I mean, as you can see, it really is very tiny. I don't measure, so I can't tell you how big it is, but it's pretty small. And then all we're going to do is fold it up. I don't know what sort of ratio that would be. I guess kind of thirds, but slightly smaller at the top flap, if that makes sense. Now this one's just got a slight fold going on here, so I'm just going to trim that up, and actually it's going to need to trim down the side anyway. Then you're going to take your top piece and you're going to fold it over like that, but not snug to this flap. Does that make sense? So you've got a gap here and it's going to go like that. Now, as you can see, my piece was not obviously the same width all the way down. So I'm just going to trim that off here down the side. Like that. Now, for the purpose of the mass makes, I would probably now stop, really, because this is now kind of formed. But in order to have them, you know, properly finished off, you're going to need a stopper. So unlike all of the other mass makes where we've just predominantly made the item and then we've decorated it afterwards, I may have to actually now incorporate the decorating per item, if that makes sense, because otherwise I'm not going to really be able to do the you know, the stoppers as we go, if that makes sense to you guys. So if I just grab in my book page, I'm only grabbing that in to lean on, nothing, you know, nothing more than that. So I'm going to take one of my dictionary definitions, and as it happens, this one says flower, which is quite apt because that's a floral sort of piece of paper. Now, I might stick that onto maybe some lace or something. And again, this is completely optional, but just so it looks a little bit prettier. So let me just unclog my glue, because this is the first time that I've used my 3-in-1 today. So I'm just going to glue this down. Come on, glue. Glue this down onto the lace. Oops. like that. Now, I need to wait now for that to dry for a couple of minutes, because otherwise I'm going to actually glue this clamped shut. So in the meantime, what we can do, oh, this is another thing that you're going to need actually, and sorry, I do apologise, I forgot to say, but if you want to make your item more like a pad, you're going to need some inner pages. So for instance here, I've just got some book, you know, old vintage book page. And all I'm going to do is cut that down. Like that. Cut it across. Like that. And then I'm just going to staple that together. Again, you could obviously stitch that, but I just don't have my sewing machine here, so staples are absolutely fine too. Like that. Hopefully that's going to fit in there, so I just need to trim it off slightly down the side. Like that. And that's your little pad that you can put in this. Now you can, you know, you can do these however you like. If you don't want to have a pad, that's absolutely fine. They could just be a little sort of flippy piece. But it's completely up to you how you know, how you want to use these. I think they're quite nice as a little sort of pad there. So I'm going to just, I think, use them like that. And then what I would ordinarily do is pop a little sort of piece of lace, which I'm now hunting around for my lace. Oh, why am I so disorganised? Right. So all I'm going to do is take a little piece of lace, cut that down, and then I'm going to just chop it in half. And what I'm going to do is probably keep this for another one, or I might just use this piece here. Because all I'm really trying to do is cover up my staples. Excuse me. So I will just glue this down. Come on. Like that. Just covering up my staples there. Okay. Again, if you've stitched it in, you know, you might not even need to do that step, because yours might look perfectly fine with the stitching. I just wanted to cover up my staples a little bit. So that's that, and then let me take my little closure piece. Like that. Now again, completely up to you if you now want to ink your piece up. I probably should have inked it up before putting the pad piece in, but it, you know, it doesn't really matter. Like that. I'm just going to ink up the back as well. And of course that, you know, the lid. That's not really a lid, but you know what I mean. The flap. And then I just go under my pad a bit. That's what I say. I should have really probably done that before gluing my pad in, but never mind. Okay. Go all around it like that. Fold that up there, that down there. And then we're just going to take our little closure. And then what I like to do whenever I do a little closure is kind of pop it onto the bit that's going to tuck in, so as I sort of roughly see where I need to apply the glue. So I just now take my 3-in-1 and just glue that down. Like that. Okay. So super simple, but really quite cute. And you can just tuck that then into a little pocket as a sort of journaling pull out. So let me just tuck that back in like that. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that to one side, and we'll do a couple more. I'll do a couple more with the closures, then I will probably bulk make mine without the closures to give me sort of greatest flexibility when I come to use them. But I haven't, you know, that's not definite. I might change my mind. So I'm going to pop that to one side. Let's bring in another piece. So as it happens, I have another piece here, which again is, you know, long and thin by nature. So again, I'm going to take this up, and just to sort of demonstrate, you really can vary the size. So if you have a much longer piece, this was obviously passed for 12 by 12, you can vary yours quite considerably. So as you can see, this is a lot bigger, it's wider and it's longer. Now for me that flap is a little bit long, so I'm just going to trim that off. Don't think I made that very straight, so let me just go back in. So we'll just trim that off like that. Okay, and again I'm just going to ink around it. I mean obviously this is brown, so how much that ink's really going to show on the patterned paper, who knows, but we'll just ink around it like that. Going to ink around the back as well, because as I say, I mean I would, you know, possibly be using these as a pull-out part or pull-out piece rather than a glued-in piece, but it's up to you, you know, of course, how you use them. So we'll just ink all around there. And again, you know, it's perfectly fine to coffee dye your 12 by 12 papers. So if you're using 12 by 12 papers, well, all of your papers, if you're using digis, if you're using 12 by 12s, you know, whatever you're using, I'm just checking I'm in frame and filming. Whatever you're using, it's fine to coffee dye them. So I should have really probably coffee dyed this, and then it would have that yummy look inside. Right. So again, I'm just going to bring my book page in. I'm just going to trim this down sort of here, because I'm hoping that I can get a skinny one from that side as well. So I'll just trim this down. Going to be really short for this. It is a bit on the short side, to be honest, but never mind. I mean, it still looks okay. So again, let me just staple that like that. Then we're just going to glue that in. Like that. Just glue that down. Oh, that was a bit wide actually, sorry. Obviously missed trimming that down widthwise, so just trim that down. Okay, then we'll glue that in now, like that. And for my closure, again, I can use maybe one of my dictionary pieces, and I've got, again, another one saying nature. So, you know, I'm just sticking with the nature theme at the moment because these are very nature themed pieces, which is rather nice. So for this one, I might not put it on some lace, but instead what I might do is just glue this down here. So again, please excuse the back. It's obviously where I'm, you know, I'm always reusing pieces of paper and card when I'm printing off to get my kits. Get my kits as I want them. I obviously print them multiple times, so I obviously use the backs so as to not be so extravagant with paper. So yeah, I do apologise for that. So that one there, for instance, just press that glue down because it's not really gluing instantly anymore. I'll just see what lace trims and things like that I've got around me. I have got this, which is rather nice. So let me just cut down a small piece from there. And I'm just going to pop that across the top. Like that. And again, just trim that then like that. I mean, I've made a horrible job of cutting that, but like that. There we go. And then what we could do is just finish it off with a bit of bling and then a little butterfly. So I'm just going to take this black bling there. Do I like the black? I always like the black, but for some reason I'm not loving it on that. So let's go for the gold. Maybe I'm converting. Maybe I'm transferring over to the gold now as more of a preference. I don't know. Oops, my gosh. Loads of glue came out that time. Right, let's just pop that down there. Get my dried wet wipe and just dab that, and then just see whether I have a butterfly sort of ready cut out. Just to spare you all watching me, so I've got that one for instance, so I'm just going to ink that up. We could just put the butterfly on there, so let me just ink. I've got to ink up the little tab piece. Just pop that butterfly down like that, and then I might just put a little bit of bling inside the butterfly as well, just to finish that off. Like that. Oops, come on. Like that. Oh, like that. Well, it would be like that, but it's stuck on my finger. So just like that. So they're really pretty and really simple, and yeah, just something different to be able to tuck into your pockets. So let me do another one. Let me just find something that I'd like to use. I've got this. So let me just see whether I can get one out of here. Probably not, so I'm probably going to have to cut it this way. So if I just cut it lengthways. Oh my gosh, can't even line the scissors up today. What is going on? What is going on with me? Right, okay. So that's that piece. I think I've made a hideous job of cutting that, but never mind, we can trim it up in a minute. So actually I think this has got a sort of right and a wrong way up, so let's fold that bottom piece and then fold the top piece down again, leaving a gap like that. And then I'm just going to trim down here where it's, you know, really misaligned. And I'm just going to trim down here. Like that. So that's your little piece essentially, and we just ink that up a bit. Like that. Just ink up this side as well. Like that. Oops. And sorry, that's just irritating, wasn't it? Every time I dipped my blending tool in, it was then hitting the lid. So yeah, just had to move that so as it wasn't quite so annoying for everyone. Well, and for me as well. So right, let's just ink all around here. This is quite nice paper because this is double-sided, so obviously the inside is not stark white. I mean, I don't mind the stark white sometimes, but it's quite nice when it is actually decorated. So that's that piece, and I think what we can do is use this long slither from the side of the book page. So I mean, again, this is quite a good way to just use up some, you know, little extra bits that you might have laying around. So let's just cut that down. Hopefully I've What's going on with that one? Look. Let's tear that off. That one's still joined, right? Okay, so let's just now. Probably only need 2 staples for this one because it's so skinny. Actually, I'm going to have it that way round because I quite like that raggedy look at the front. Like that. Just trim that there. And then what I might do for this one is just tear across at the end because I like that. Just neaten it up along the edge a little bit. We're going to pop that in there like that. Come on. Come on, glue. Come on, glue. Come on, glue. Right, there we go. And we just pop that one in. We should have the rest of that ivory lace somewhere. What did I do with that? I mean, I literally only used it 5 minutes ago, didn't I? No, can't see that anywhere. Oh, what is wrong with me? Oh, there it is, look. Other side. So it's, you know, just big enough to go across there. And, you know, I'm just covering up those staples, so just pop that one down like that. Pretty. And then our piece is going to close like that. And again, you know, you can round the corners and things like that. So let's just round the corners of our flap. You can round the corners at the top. You can round the corners at the bottom. You know, you can just play around and see what you fancy doing. But I thought with this one, we might use this piece as our closure. So I would just ink around here. And I'm just going to pop her down. So again, I will just, you know, place her roughly where she needs to be able to tuck that in, and then just glue around there like that. So this is a really good project to use up some scraps because obviously these pieces are pretty small, you know, they don't really take up very much paper. So if you've got those scraps which are sort of long and slim, this is a really good project. And again, it's a really good project for using up any plain scraps to be able to make your little pad inside as well. And of course, you don't have to make that pad. You know, like I said, you could just have it without the little pad inside. And I'm going to finish that off with that piece of lace up there as well, because that just happens to go quite nicely. Okie dokie. Glue. So we'll just pop that one down there. Then just trim around that like that. Oops. Like that. A bit there. Oh, that one, I love that one. I mean, that's just up my street. I just really love things like that. So yeah, I really love that. I'm just having a look to see if I've got any sort of butterfly or a flower or anything like that. Oh, yep, I've got a butterfly. So again, let me just ink this up. So we can just pop the butterfly on there. Like that. And then we can put some bling on there. Oh yeah, back to the black bling now. Okay. So we're just going to pop that down there. Oh, she says. And then just, nope, it's stuck on my finger and coming away. Oh gosh, come on. How pretty does that look? I'm just going to check I'm filming and I'm in frame. Aren't they lovely? So I probably don't need to now really talk through what we're doing so much anymore, because obviously I have waffled on a bit. So I'm just going to pull in some random sheets and just be making and chatting. So we'll just make and chat now, which is always fun to do, I find. So let's just make and chat. Okay. So I'm thinking next week we might do something with some fabric. So, you know, I know that I'd put it out there and asked you guys whether you fancied doing some bits with fabric, and the response was good. So we have done a couple of fabric things already. So next week I'm thinking, if you guys are coming along for the Mass Make workshops, bring some fabric, obviously some thread and some buttons would be great. So yeah, some fabric, lace trims, actually probably more than fabric, and some buttons and some thread, possibly some glue as well, because that might just make things easier, and obviously your scissors. So yeah, hopefully that's all that we're going to be needing. Yeah, got sort of a project in mind, so hopefully that'll be, you know, that'll be good. So I'm just taking my scraps here and just sort of mass cutting them, because I thought that's probably the quickest way to do it, is mass cut. So, you know, I'm doing stages, the same stages at the same time. So I'm just going to put those out of the way. I'm just going to take these and exactly the same, just going to fold them up. So you might want to use your bone folder for this. Like that. Oops. Like that. I'm trying to film ahead again with my mass makes, because I had filmed ahead a bit for the mass making for over Christmas, and you know, then obviously they all went up over Christmas while everyone was at home. So then I was down to none again. By the time the kids went back to school, I had no mass making videos left. So I'm again trying to kind of get back on track and get some filmed ahead, because then that's really handy, because it gives me time then to focus on some other projects. So that's what I'm trying to do at the moment. Oops. That's that one. And again, I'll just do all the stages now, you know, all the same stages at the same time here. Like that. Okey-dokey. Just trim that down here. Okay, trim that there. So how's everyone getting on in the new year? I hope you're all, you know, thriving and doing well. I can't believe how fast the time flies by, to be honest. It's, it just is shocking. Time just flies. Okay, I'm going to trim this down here, I think. Like that. So, I mean, as you can see, you really can vary the sizes quite a bit, depending on the size of your scraps. I mean, the only thing that I would say is obviously it needs to be longish and thinnish. But how long and how thin is completely, well, up to you, I guess. You know, it will just vary your size of your piece. Okay. Oops, I need to just trim trim that down here at the side. I thought my cutting was pretty off for that one, and sure enough it was. Okay. And again, just down here. Okay. Well, I have successfully avoided the January sales shopping so far. I don't know about you guys, but I really didn't want to go out just, you know, spending money on rubbish that I didn't need and, you know, if I'm truthful, didn't probably want. So I have been very rigid with myself, and I've not, you know, I've not done that. So yeah, I feel quite that was quite an achievement, because I think for me the only way not to spend, and I'm just going to tear a couple of pages out of my encyclopedia, so I've got a couple more blank pages to use as pads. Yeah, for me, definitely the best way to avoid shopping or avoid spending is just do not go to the shops. So I have been really good, and I just have not been venturing into the shops in the first place, because as soon as I do, you know, I'm just going to be buying stuff. I mean, I think a lot of us are the same, aren't we? But it is very hard, because of course you go into the shop and you see all these things, and sometimes they're bargains, and you just, you know, oh, that's such a good price, oh, that's such a bargain, and, you know, end up buying all these things that you really don't need. So I was really good, and I did not go to any of the sales. I didn't go to, you know, yeah, I didn't venture into the shops at all during the sales. I mean, other than obviously my food shopping, which even that, to be honest, I think is a danger zone, because the supermarkets all do such a lot of other stuff now, you know, that even that I find I have to almost like close my eyes going through certain sections, because, you know, they sell clothes, they sell, you know, toys, they sell, oh, I don't know, just stationery. I mean, not lovely stationery. Well, sometimes they have nice stationery, but, you know, kind of little bits and pieces. They sell obviously kitchen items, you know, plates and cups and all of those kinds of goodies. And it's, well, books as well, recipe books. Oh, you know, you name it, all this rubbish that I just don't need. So I can still be dangerous even going into the supermarket. So for me, definitely the way to go is do not set foot into the shop. And in the supermarkets, just, I mean, obviously I don't really close my eyes, but just don't look down those aisles. Do not look in that direction at all. Because as soon as I do, I'm just going to be suckered in. I mean, of course, those shops all do that on purpose, don't they? But it's just then more junk that I'm buying to fill the house with. So, yeah, I'm quite proud of myself for having been so good. I'm just going to use 2 staples on this one as well, because it's only tiny. Oops, I need to just tear that down, I think, a bit. It's a bit long. There we go. I mean, you could make them with little flippy down pads, I guess. You know, and have your pads flipping down. That might be something else that's a little bit different, to just mix up your pieces. Just have a play and, you know, have a bit of fun. See what you fancy doing. I mean, I probably wouldn't put a booklet in here, opening out to the side. You know, because to me, that would seem a little bit strange. But you could put a booklet in stapled from here, if you see what I mean. Again, I probably wouldn't do that with the corners rounded, but you could do that if the corners weren't rounded. So that's another sort of suggestion of things that you could do, which actually, if we get time in this mass make, we'll do one with a sort of booklet piece. So I'm aware that obviously, I mean, normally we're really good, aren't we? And, you know, we generally seem to average about 14 pieces, although loads of you guys seem to average way more than that. So that's incredible. I seem to average about 12 to 14 pieces. Of course, today I don't expect to do anything like that because I've been decorating them as we're going. So that, you know, obviously takes up a little bit more time. I mean, that's really pretty, isn't it? And that's just a little stamped piece. So again, I'm just going to ink that up. Not that it really needs it because it's on that buff coloured card, but how cute does that look? Just love how that looks. So again, just bring that up and then just glue that down. Like that. Excuse that noise if you can hear that. I think they're cutting the well, I don't know what they're cutting actually. They might be cutting the grass or cutting the trees. Sort of over the way, I don't know. I don't know whether they're cutting the grass or cutting the trees, but yeah, sorry about that noise. So that's that piece, and then might again just pop some of that ivory lace on this piece. I mean, you could pop some flowers on as well. Just having a look to see whether I've got anything. I mean, obviously I've got the fussy cuts for this lovely lilacs kit because that's where, you know, that's what this is from, this paper line. But they're not here beside me at my desk, and I don't want to be dragging it out, making you guys wait while I go and hunt down where I've got the fussy cut pieces for this. So I've got these flowers, which weirdly just happen to be the right colour. These are actually from a book, but they just do sort of match. So I'm going to just pop them on like that. That looks pretty, doesn't it? And then I'm just going to pop on some lace at the top. Come on. Like that. Okie dokie, and we just chop that down there. Chop that down there, and actually probably use this to cover up those staples on the inside. So let's just see. Yeah, so let's just literally glue that down there. Like that. So I'm not going to close that obviously for the minute because I don't want to obviously now glue that stuck shut. So I'll leave that open. Let's do one of these lovely blue ones. Now I've rounded the corners of all of these, so I can't show you one of those booklet type pieces from these pieces because obviously they've already got the rounded corners, but we can do you know, if there's time we can do one in a minute. So just ink this up. So this is lovely scrapbooking paper. I think this was some K & Company paper. Again, had it in my stash for years. So it's nice to use it, and obviously, you know, I've now used an entire sheet because this was obviously the scrap, the remainder. So yay, one sheet down, like 50 billion to go. Right, I'm just going to tear that front piece off of there, and then just going to trim that down. Oops, come on. Like that, and I'll just take one more sheet that was from the encyclopedia page, like that. Just drop that down. I mean, I'm only doing three pages in here. Of course, again, you know, you can vary yours and put as many pages or as few pages as you like. I'm just doing 3 because I don't want to bulk it out too much. And I fear that if there were loads, it would be, you know, a bit bulky maybe. But, you know, have a play and see what, you know, what works for you best. So, again, just tear that down. And then I'm just going to glue that in. Oh, there's that machine again. Very annoying. Right. So that's that one. And what should we use for our closure for this one? Oh, I must have not inked that edge up very well. I've got some blue flowers here to the side, which might look quite pretty on here. Oh, that's pretty, isn't it? So let's just ink this up a little bit. And yeah, that's pretty. What shall I use as the closure? What shall I use? What shall I use? Just seeing whether I've got something literally here that just is shouting, you know, use me, use me. No, not that. Right, let's have a look. I mean, I have so much stuff here, to be honest, you know, I've got like a ton of things to choose from. I might keep her for that. Probably will have lost her by the time it comes to actually using her, but that's the plan at the moment. I can use her for that. The other thing that I've got actually is I've got my little architecture photos, which is one or two teeny ones. Yep, might be able to use that. So, you know, anything's going to work really nicely for your little closures. So let's just ink that up. You really can just, you know, mix this about and have a play about and decide what you fancy. Just having a look whether, I mean, that's quite nice like that, to be honest. Yeah, I might just pop that on there, and then I might just, oh, look, lost that now. Just slid off the desk. So if I just cut that down, and then I won't have to have it just hanging off to the side. And I might just ink that to make it slightly darker still. Like that. Okay. So yeah, I mean, these actually, you know, they're slightly different to the normal mass making because I wouldn't normally decorate them all. I would have used only the folded pieces and, you know, leave this closure and what have you off. But, I mean, having said that, these are going to be fantastic because they're all going to be completely ready-made, which, you know, that's definitely a bonus. Again, I'm just going to leave that one to dry for a few minutes whilst I do another one. So I'll just pop that to one side whilst it's drying. So I've got this buff coloured card, which you probably saw me just now kind of find this lady. And I thought, oh, she's quite nice on there, isn't she? So I'm just going to ink this up like that. Ink around those edges and the inside as well, like that. Okay, so again, let me just make my little flippy pad. So for this one I might just Obviously this paper's a bit damaged, which is a bit annoying, but I might just fold that over. Oops, oh my gosh, what terrible folding is going on today. Terrible folding, terrible cutting. Not good. I don't know whether this is going to work because it's got that big fold, so we'll have a look and see whether that's going to pan out or not. Might not. So we're still looking for a car for my son. He's found one on the internet that we're going to hopefully look at this week. So we phoned up about lots, but I mean, it's really strange because if we're ever trying to sell a car, we're really keen to sell it. And so, if we're going out and someone says, oh, can I pop around and see it? I mean, if it's anything that we could put off potentially, we put it off and we wait in for them to come round and see the car. But every car we've phoned about so far, they don't really seem like they want to sell it at all. They're like, oh, no, can't do it this week, or just terrible. Trying to actually even get round to see a car. So we've seen, I think, 2 so far, but they weren't, I mean, obviously his budget's not huge, so they're not great when you get there. They're a little bit, sort of torn seats and things like that. And, they don't drive kind of particularly brilliantly. I mean, not that we're expecting, obviously, something amazing for his budget, but I mean, you at least expect it to drive clonk free or error message free and things like that, whereas they seem to have like error messages and things like that. So yeah, it's proving slightly tricky trying to get something, but it's fine. He'll get something eventually. And actually he seems quite level-headed about it, and seems to get that it's better to get the right thing than rush and potentially get something that's, rubbish. So he's been quite good about it. But it's horrible when you go to look at cars. So the one he wants to look at this week, it's just going to be me and him going, whilst my husband takes my other son to CrossFit, and my daughter will go with them as well. And you just feel this horrible sense of responsibility, don't you? Because you think, oh my gosh, I hope it's okay. If that turns out to be the car, I hope it's going to be okay. And, we don't end up buying something that we regret. But you've just got to take a chance on these things, haven't you? Because you don't really know unless you're really up on your cars. I mean, I do absolutely love cars, I have to say, but obviously I don't have any mechanical knowledge. I love how cars look. I don't know anything about them. So yeah, you feel a little bit sort of, oh my gosh, I hope that we don't get something that turns out to be a mistake. But if we do, we do, and we'd have to then just cross that bridge when it comes to it. But I just can't believe how hard it is to even get to go and look at them. And actually, there's been 2 so far, which very strange. There's been 2 so far that we've phoned up about, and people don't have the logbook. Which, they're not really going to be able to sell a car with no logbook, are they? Could have that with the little flowers on there. Might even just tear that stem off. That looks really pretty, doesn't it? Yeah, I don't know whether they're called a logbook everywhere in the world, but I mean, the logbook certainly here in the UK, I mean, that's kind of what it's, the legal document, I guess, that shows that that you own the car. I guess it's like the deeds of a house, shows that you own the car. And yeah, we phoned up about 2, and the first guy, he'd actually lost the logbook. So literally lost it. He didn't even have it. And then another guy we phoned, he just didn't have it because I think he was, I don't know, doing something, transferring his number plate or something. So he'd sent it back. So, I mean, he's in fairness, that was like a temporary thing, and then he would obviously get it again. But, I mean, obviously you're not really going to buy a car that's got no logbook, are you? So I just found that strange. Because, I mean, obviously we haven't phoned about a ton of cars, you know. And already 2 people haven't had the logbooks, which I just found that strange. Oh, that's pretty, isn't it? So it's annoying having to shake the glue every single time. Perhaps I will leave it upside down. I think I left it upside down once before and it just then was like, whoa, bubbling up everywhere. So, I don't know. Anyway. Oh, I love how that one looks. That's really pretty, isn't it? Yeah, love that. Okay, last one, and then we can try and do one with the, you know, the booklet page inside. So I've got a couple of pages here, so I will just cut them down. And actually, I'll just cut another strip whilst I'm here. Okay, let me just staple those. I mean, these have got now, you know, this is a pad thing with 4 pages, but to be honest, it's very thin book page because this is just those fly sheet things from the book page. And again, I mean, obviously different book pages are different thicknesses, but the encyclopedia page is not that thick, particularly the fly sheets. So these are not very bulky at all, even though there's 4 pages, you know, I don't think it's going to really be a problem. So I just ink around this like that. Okey-dokey. It was my daughter's birthday a few days ago, so she is now 6 and she had a lovely time. It was a shame because she was back at school by then. But she had a lovely time, obviously going back to school because they take in sweets. You know, she takes, or the person whose birthday it is, if your birthday's on a school day, take in sweets, and then when they leave, they're able to obviously give the sweets out to everybody. And obviously the class sings happy birthday and things like that. So, you know, it's nice to have that kind of extra bit of attention, isn't it, on your birthday? I mean, both my son's birthdays are at times where by nature they're always in the holidays. But her birthday is, you know, going to always be in the term time, but it obviously might fall at weekends. But I mean, my birthday was in the term time and it was always good fun. I always liked going to school on my birthday. I thought it was great fun. So yeah, she's a bit like me in that she rather likes things like that. I might just use one of those dictionary definitions again for this one. So yeah, she had a lovely time. She had a lovely time going to school, and you know, everybody saying happy birthday and what have you to her. And after she finished school, we popped into town and we went to a shop that we have here called Claire's. It's like an accessory shop. I don't know whether it's everywhere. I feel like I have seen it when we've been on holiday. But I don't know whether it's everywhere. But yeah, I mean, it's the type of shop that, I mean, it's a bit of a nightmare shop really as a parent. But wow, as a child, oh, I would have loved going in Claire's. And obviously my daughter absolutely loves going in Claire's. It's a bit of a rip-off shop, to be honest, because everything's extortionate. And I've said before, I mean, I think you can get girls' things, you know, knickknacks for girls pretty cheaply, to be honest. But in Claire's, it's all absolutely extortionate. But, you know, of course, all the girls really like it in there. And my daughter literally has just, over the last, you know, 4 months or so, suddenly got more aware of like Claire's and things like that, whereas before she wasn't, you know, she wasn't really aware of it and didn't really know about it, but she now does. So I picked her up from school and her and I went to town and we looked in Claire's and I bought her a couple of things from there. And I mean, they had buy 3 get 3 free, which, you know, you think, oh, that's not so bad, but of course everything's extortionate, so it's not necessarily a good deal. But she did then get 6 things. So And funnily enough, I mean, the first things that we took up to the till, no, they weren't included in the offer because they were a brand, which I hadn't realised, but they weren't Claire's own brand. They were something else. So, no, they weren't included in the offer. So then we picked something else. No, that wasn't included in the offer. You know, those big eyes. I don't know whether anyone else has seen them, but those kind of like weird teddy things with big eyes. They're those beanies. We picked one of those. We didn't realise, but again, that wasn't then included in the offer. So we ended up being in there for ages trying to pick, you know, 6 things that was sort of similar value, because otherwise, you know, if you picked like 3 things that were, say, you know, £10 or £12, and then you picked 3 things that were, say, only £2.50, your free things would be the £2.50 items. So you'd have ended up spending, you know, say potentially £36 and only getting £6 worth of freebies. So, I mean, you want to be a bit careful when you're shopping in places like that, because otherwise it's not really very good value at all. But yeah, she was obviously thrilled to bits with her rubbish that we'd bought from there. And obviously she had, you know, her presents that we'd bought sort of previously to her birthday as well. And then we went to a trampolining place, you know, those indoor trampolining places. So she thoroughly enjoyed that as well and had a great time. And then I, you know, gave her the option and said, what would you like to do for dinner? You know, would you like to go out to a restaurant or something like that? Do you know what she chose? She chose McDonald's. That was what she chose. So McDonald's was what it was for her birthday treat, which, you know, I didn't have a McDonald's, but everybody else did. Yeah. Right, so that's that one. Love that as well. Gorgeous. And I suddenly remembered that we hadn't finished this one off, so I'm just going to finish this one. Oops. Let me just pop that down there. Yeah, she loves McDonald's. I mean, I think all kids love McDonald's, to be honest, or a lot of kids do. I mean, we don't have loads of McDonald's, but she does love it. I think my boys probably liked McDonald's when they were her age, to be fair, as well. So my husband's a bit partial to McDonald's. I know that I've said before, but I mean, he's a bit partial to anything that's remotely, you know, burger and fries related. So, of course, he didn't complain. He was pretty chuffed that that was where she wanted to go. Is that flower too ginormous now? I really loved it when we put it there before, and now I'm not so sure. Maybe there. Maybe I should take the stalk off. Well, it looks a bit weird now. It's just like a flower with no stalks. So, no. What if I cut the leaves off, or then does it turn into just like nothing resembling a flower? Let's have a look. Sometimes that happens, doesn't it? Where you then cut so much of the flower off, it no longer even resembles a flower. Well, that's not too bad. Yeah, I think that looks still like a flower. Let's glue that on. Okay. There we go. So yeah, no more birthdays now for a little while. The next birthday is my husband's, but you know, he's not really into birthdays, to be honest, so it won't be so exciting for his. Right, that's our pieces. Now, we did say about doing one with a little booklet piece, didn't we? So let me just pull in another piece. So we'll take this one here, and I'm just going to again just cut down a long skinny strip like that. So let me just pop that one out the way, and we're just going to fold this up. No, it probably needs to go out the other way. I don't know really whether this has got a right way and a wrong way, but It just looked a bit wrong when I just folded it at first. So we'll just fold this up like that. Oh, sorry guys, I've now just noticed it's gone to 1 hour. So sorry, it's a bit of a long one, I'm afraid. It's because I've been decorating as I've gone. So it's obviously ended up taking longer than the normal video. Right, let's just trim that down. Oh my gosh, look at my cutting. Just awful today. Right, okay. So again, I'm going to just round the corners here on the flap. Which do I want to cut the flap down? Probably do a bit, so let's just trim that down. A bit better. And I'm just going to round the corners, but only on the flap, because obviously we want to do this as a little booklet inside. So I don't want to round these top corners, because that's where I'm going to be putting my, you know, book type pages. So I'm just going to ink this up now. I mean, this paper, I've had quite a bit of this paper because I really liked it, and I've coffee dyed this quite a few times. It's lovely coffee dyed. Okie dokie, so there we go. We just ink it up here on the front. And then ink the inside as well, like that. Okie dokie. So nearly done with the inking. And then, okay. So that's our little piece. Gorgeous. And then our little foldy booklet. Now, have I got any paper that's ideal to use? Let me just have a look. Hold on. Oh, sorry. Just binning piece there that wasn't suitable. Oh, come on. I must have some. Oh, I would like regular thickness copy paper. And can I now see any? No. Well, how annoying is that? Oh, this is annoying. Right, hang on, let me just try and just do something on the fly here. So I've got another book beside me. I'll tear out the fly sheet bits from that book, and hopefully they're going to be big enough to be able to fold down. They're not really, look at that, they're really tiny. Well, how about if we have mismatched paper sizes. So I'm just going to cut this one down here. Well, that will probably do, actually, because that is 4 pages then. And then I'm just going to then take that. Now I'm stapling. Obviously, again, if you've got your sewing machine, you know, to hand, you can obviously stitch your pages in. I'm just stapling, and to be honest, you know, that's fine. So there we go. Oops. I'll just try and wedge my stapler back in the drawer. No, it doesn't want to go. Right. Okay, so that's my little book pages there. That's my piece. Now just try and find something to close that with. Have a look here. I've got the word special. What have I got here? Oh, bloom I've got. Is that too big? No, that's perfect. Right. So let me just ink this one up. We're going to pop that down like that. So just again, I like to sort of position it on the edge of where it needs to be, so I know where to apply that glue, like that. I'm just going to pop that down like that. Oops, come on, there we go, like that. And then we'll just finish that off with something else. So let me just see what I might have beside me. Have I got anything vaguely that I want to use? That's not bad actually. I mean, although those flowers are, you know, not anywhere near the flowers that are on the paper, they weirdly look quite nice on there. I did not expect that. I thought they were going to look really strange, but they actually look quite pretty. So we could have those on there. Like that. Put that down. And then, of course, I always love to have some lace. So I thought, I can't actually even find it, so we might have to not have lace. So this time I might actually have the lace with the header, because it actually seemed to suit this piece quite a bit. You know, kind of, there's no telling why something suits something sometimes, but just occasionally, you know, you think, oh, it looks better like that. You know, for no apparent reason. And that was just this weird feeling that I had with this. So, yeah. Okie dokie. I'm just going to chop that down and there. So that looks really pretty. I mean, if I had some more blossoms, I would maybe put some more, you know, up the top, because I think that would look really nice. But I haven't, and I don't want to waste everyone's time for ages looking, but I might just pop some pearly trim perhaps up there, or we could have some sort of coming out there. Oh, excuse me a moment, that's the doorbell, hold on. Sorry about that, that was the guy delivering the Amazon delivery. My son's, I don't know whether it was his protein powder or something that he likes to order. So yeah, right, let's just see whether we might like a flower here. Oh no, that's like very bright on there, which looked very strange. Let's just have a look and see if we want a Martha Stewart butterfly, because they're always nice. There we go, that's pretty, isn't it? So again, I'm just going to ink that one up a little bit, and then we can just pop that one just there, like that. Okay, there we go. Super pretty. Oops, I just moved that up a bit. Okay, so we managed to make 1, 2, 3, 4, oops, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8's not too bad, because we did decorate them as we went, which obviously we don't normally do. But they are really pretty, I think, and they do look very cute when they're tucked into a pocket. You know, I just think they're really sweet. So I hope that you like them, and obviously you can also make them in your plain coffee dyed paper too. You don't have to make them with patterned papers at all. But I hope that you like them. Hope that you enjoyed the workshop, and don't forget, if you're joining me next week, we're going to be doing some fabric things. So a bit of lace, yeah, probably lace, any fabrics, maybe some ribbon or something like that, buttons and your thread. So yeah, I will see you next week, or, you know, hopefully before with some other videos. Thanks very much for joining me. Bye.